What's up, guys? It's your girl Kia, and I am back for another video. So we are going to be talking today about Mackenzie Shirilla. She is the young woman who was 17 at the time who drove her car into a wall in Strongsville, Ohio, killing her boyfriend Dominic and their good friend Davion. There was a lot of there was a lot of attention around this case, not just locally in the Strongsville area, but ended up becoming a national, international story because they were trying to figure out if this young girl had done this on purpose, if the car malfunctioned, if they had just done too many drugs or whatever happened. They were trying to figure out, if she really could have done this as an intentional act of maybe possibly taking her life and then taking the life of her boyfriend maybe, and that Davion in the back seat was just collateral damage, which I think that that's what it sounds like to me. Recently, a documentary has come out on Netflix called The Crash, where it examines the actual incident, the investigation, and the trial. And Mackenzie is actually in the documentary. I was stunned to see that she was in the documentary, especially seeing how it went. It really didn't go the best for her, but I definitely suggest you check it out. There's also multiple podcasts on there if you're familiar with Rotten Mango, or if you're familiar with Kendall Ray. She has something out there. There's also the Mean Girls on, I think it's on Oxygen, that covers the cases. Multiple things that cover this case. But what I wanted to discuss, and I think is the most important part, that of course I don't think the next Netflix documentary could have got into this, and I don't think any of the documentaries can go into this, is that a lot of the responsibility for Mackenzie and what happened it relies on her parents. Watching her parents' behavior in the documentary, it bothered me as a parent, as someone who was a former teenager. It just I couldn't. They enabled her, continue to enable her through the investigation, through her arrest, and are continuing to enable her to this day. Because we're also going to talk about Mackenzie's behavior that's happening in prison right now, because her behavior hasn't toned down, it hasn't stopped. She just has found a new ground to basically do whatever she wants. So let's talk about the first things first. Mackenzie doesn't look healthy at all. I get it, teenagers. When I was young, I was very thin. I was very tall. I know you can't believe it, but I was thin back in the day. I was very tall, very, very thin. I was probably a size 4, and I was 5'11". But Mackenzie looks unhealthy. Her eyes are her everything is just looking gaunt. She looks like someone who is taking Ozempic and maybe has gone too far. She's very, very thin and just not looking well. Like weren't her parents has never established boundaries, and even if that's a boundary on food, you do need to eat. There was never like you need to do this because I said so situation from what it seems like from the outside looking in. So whether that's food, drugs, whatever, they just look like whatever she wanted to do, that's fine. We're just here to be her friend. We just always want to be in her life. That's the mentality. But she doesn't look healthy, and that was the first thing that was concerning for me. The next thing is Dominic. So another thing that people are not talking about, and it's really nowhere online, and Dominic was selling drugs. I know we're not supposed to say that. That shouldn't be a part of the conversation because it absolutely does not matter. But he was. There have been rumors that that's how he got the money that he was making, because he's a 20-year-old man who has a home and is able to keep his girlfriend in Chanel, Gucci, and Prada. That is not normal for a 20-year-old young man in an area like Strongsville. Strongsville is not like some tech hub. He wasn't an athlete at some university. He was just a young man living in this neighborhood, bought a home next to his mom. None of this is normal. Like I said, it doesn't matter, but it comes back to the parents. Her parents made a comment in the documentary like, yeah, he had a whole lot of money to keep her happy. That wasn't odd to you as parents. Like, how does this 20-year-old man, who you don't think he's getting it from his parents, because his parents don't look like they're broke, but they don't look well off. They look like regular lower or middle class Americans. So they're not giving him money. He lives by himself. And that never dawned on you, or were you concerned? Or did you just not care because he was taking your daughter, who most likely was a headache, off your hands and, moving her into the home, so it didn't really matter? The third thing, a 17-year-old girl being allowed to move in with her boyfriend. On what planet are we living on where that's okay? And her parents made comments was like, she was really like, mature, and they were in love, and it was like a nice relationship. We thought they were going to get married at 17. At 17, you thought she was going to get married to Dominic. That doesn't make any sense. It's just so inappropriate that again, it's almost like their daughter walked into the house and said, I want to do this. I want to move in with Dominic. He's my boyfriend. And they were like, oh, okay, sure. Yeah, we'll help you pack your bags. Because they're sitting here acting like everybody else is making a big deal that she was allowed to move in with her boyfriend. It is a huge deal. It is another example in the documentary and Mackenzie's life that there were no boundaries or the word no was never said. And it probably should have been said a lot more. Next thing, the drug use. I mean, my God, the fact that she is posting online on Snapchat about her smoking and driving at the same time. Let's say Mackenzie doesn't live with you guys and she lives with her boyfriend. You guys are still parents. You guys are still the adults. You guys still have parental rights over her. If that was me, even if I would have had a lapse of judgment and let her go live with the boyfriend, fine. If I would have saw that, I am in my car. I'm going to that boy's house. I'm like, you need to get in the car. You're coming back home. I don't want to hear none of that. I don't want to hear none of your mouth. Get your stuff and you're getting back. You're getting in my car and you're coming back home because you're doing things that are dangerous and they're going to hurt you. Her parents made it seem like, oh no, that's completely fine. Oh, she's doing, drugs. Oh, weed's not a gateway drug. Weed is fine. And it's interesting because they also have Donovan's family not Donovan, Davion's family in a documentary who were just like, yeah, we didn't believe that at all. We were basically telling Davion, like, show me your friends and I'll show you who you are, trying to get him to stay away from people like Mackenzie and Dominic. And again, this is not about, and this is really is not about the drug use. Drug use is bad. They shouldn't be doing it. But it's really about you have showing one parents, Davion's parents, who are trying to get him away from what's happening and steer him in a better direction. And you have Mackenzie's parents who are just like, it's just a little weed. It should be fine. Like, no big deal. Everybody can have a good time. That's insane. That's insane to have that type of mentality over your 17-year-old daughter. You know? So then the incident happens and these two young men are killed. And in this moment, you do kind of feel bad for the parents because they don't know what's going on. And I don't think anybody could have fathomed that their child would do something like this. It just doesn't make any sense. But you see her behavior afterwards. They show it at the end of the documentary where she's actually, posting a picture of her dressed up for Halloween as well. She's dressed up as Playboy Cardi. I didn't know Playboy Cardi wore makeup or whatever, but either way, she dressed up with her friends as Playboy Cardi, and he's dressed up like a corpse all the time, I guess on stage. And they took pictures of it for Halloween. It's not appropriate. This was a couple months before she was charged. She is living her best life. The other thing is that she was getting an offer of a brand deal. A brand actually wanted to work with her, and her mother is the one who was responding back to the brand deal people saying, yeah, she would love to work with you. This is an amazing opportunity. We want to get all this stuff behind us, all this stuff. We want to get everything behind us. And then Mackenzie follows that up with, yeah, I would love to work with you. I've been dying to work with you guys. I posted your stuff a couple of times, blah, 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 blah. What are we talking about here? Why are you not showing some kind of remorse? She says that she is remorseful that it was an accident, but why aren't you treating it like you are remorseful and it was an accident? Why are you treating it like, it was just like one of those things where, we were driving and somebody else hit us and then my friends passed away and now I'm sad for a little bit, but I got to keep moving. That's not what happened. You drove your car at 100 miles an hour without stopping on the brakes into a wall. Even though it shows in the court records that the boys were trying to possibly jerk at the wheel and things were trying to shift and everything. This wasn't an accident. This was done intentionally. And then the next incident I'm going to keep going through was her mother claiming that this was due to POTS. You don't know what POTS is. POTS is postural orthostic tachycardia syndrome. It's diagnosed when your heart rate increases 30 beats per minute or 40 BPM for adolescents within 10 minutes of standing without a drop in blood pressure. This increase can cause symptoms like dizziness, fainting, and fatigue, which are all relieved by lying down. So her mother is now wanting to use a POTS excuse, and she's using it. When she's in the documentary, the first thing she says that, well, based on the evidence, The only thing I can conclude is it was a medical emergency. And this weird face, deadpan look, dead eyes that I'm giving you to the camera is exactly how she looks in the doc. There's no emotion, there's no feeling, there's no crying, there's no I can't believe I did this. It's just straight up, why do we have to talk about this? I really don't want to have to do this right now. Like I could be doing a million other things instead of sitting here with you guys, but I think this might help my case, so that's why I'm sitting here. It was a little crazy. But um the POTS thing, again, like I said, another excuse brought on by her parents that this could have been one of those situations. I've always told her mother's like, I've always told people she has POTS. I've always told people. But then why are there not any documented incidents of her having POTS at school? Why hasn't anybody come forward and say, yeah, she just stood up, took 3 steps, and then she fainted or she started to wobble or get dizzy? And as somebody who does have a POTS issue, then why are you using so much pot? That can't help your situation. That can't help your health. That has to make things worse with this type of syndrome. I mean, and nobody bought it. Nobody bought it. But again, it's once again showing that her parents are just trying to find a ways to enable their daughter. So one thing I do want to show, and I'm gonna share my screen real quick, is that when she was arrested on the side of the road. It was a little dramatic how they did it, like she was on the run with her mom, but she was leaving physical therapy, and she was pulled over by 5 or 6 police officers and pulled out of the car on the side of the road, and she was arrested. The video that I want to share with you is the video of them at the police station. And I just want you to see the behavior of her parents because it's a little nuts. And I don't think a lot of people have seen it.
Recording.
Not able to be here, and you guys have your phone.
It's not hers, it's mine.
And it's in the car, I got it on my phone. It's in your watch. So, but I need to speak to my daughter because you guys aren't allowed to speak to her at all. That's from the lawyer. He does not want you guys speaking to her. And I can get him on the phone, and he can tell you that over the phone if that works, or I can go in and tell her not to open her mouth. How you guys did this on the weekend is just, well, all you have to do is go, hey, there's a warrant for her. We would have brought her right down here with no problem, but you hit it. It's just unbelievable. I mean, she's 18.
So the warrant was issued today, so we executed it today. The warrant wasn't issued earlier.
Well, you could have made a phone call, couldn't you? You had your creeper out in front of my yard watching.
So, she can't take any, she's an adult, she can't take any phone calls right now. She'll be transferred downtown.
Okay.
I don't know when.
Service just called to advise.
She'll be transferred downtown.
Okay, well, I still need to speak to my daughter so she understands what her, not to say anything to you guys.
Okay, and I don't know about the phone, I would have to ask about that.
Can you go find, it's mine, it's not hers, I do need it, I have other children.
And that's how we communicate.
Yeah, and that's how we communicate.
Okay, so
I do need my phone.
Yeah,
I mean,
whatever was it-
BP had to roll out the whole mask to pick up an 18-year-old girl who could hardly walk out of a hospital visit. It's just beyond me.
So we follow the law, and that's what we're doing today. So the phone that was in her hand is the one that we took, but I'd have to check with the detective to find out what's going on with that. I don't know the answer to that.
Can we find out? I do need it like right now.
Okay, let me at least
I have
ask.
another child.
Yeah. No, I get it. So we gotta let them.
So, yeah. Thank you.
Then am I going to be allowed to have a 2-minute conversation with her?
You cannot talk to her while she's here, no.
Why doesn't she get a
Well,
phone
she has
call? If
legal
you arrest her, why don't
representative.
she get a phone call?
She was just brought in. They're going to process her. As soon as they get the time for her to make a phone call, she will be able to make a phone call.
You just need to advise her, she has a lawyer.
She's a lawyer. She does have a lawyer.
She is 18 years old and she could speak
Yeah,
that.
but she's a dumb 18-year-old that just turned 18.
Well,
And you guys are, no,
She's dumb.
the folks, all the kids nowadays are dumb. And these guys are going to take a
What is funny about this? That woman, her mother, is laughing like this is funny. He just called her a dumb 18-year-old, but you weren't calling her dumb when you allowed her to move in with her boyfriend. You weren't calling her dumb when she got in trouble at school multiple times for bullying other kids. You weren't calling her dumb when she was videoing herself and posting it on Snapchat of her smoking and driving at the same time. All of a sudden now, when she's in serious behavior after your years of like neglect, basically, now she's a dumb 18-year-old and your ugly wife is standing there laughing at the situation. I am appalled by this. This isn't funny. This isn't cute. Like you're saying she's dumb, she's young, and da-da-da. Like, cut it out. Cut it out.
She's not allowed to speak to you guys. I'm telling you
Listen,
that.
her
from
attorney
lawyer.
can call us.
I just need to.
Don't ask her any questions. She's not allowed to speak to you.
So you dial the number and ring it.
Yeah, it's her phone. We're not giving it back. It's her phone.
Ay, ay, ay.
One we had last time.
Recording.
I just want to point out him eating chips is me all day. You two crazy psycho parents have come up here for what reason? Because we were supposed to listen to you yell and scream, and she has a lawyer, and you guys just did it all crazy. And why are you doing it on the weekends? That we were supposed to go, oh my God, you're right. We are so sorry. We are so sorry. We shouldn't have done that. Or some kind of, we understand your pain. No, I'm eating chips just like him. Like, yeah. So the warrant was executed today. So that's what we came and got her today. I like Funyuns rather than Doritos, but thanks for asking. Like I would have had the same type of mentality. Like, what are you talking about? So that is just kind of, what has this is her parents' behavior, and you see it throughout the whole documentary as they sat for this. And I don't know what they thought this was going to help. It didn't make them look good. Didn't make them look like loving parents. Didn't make them look responsible parents, and it didn't make Mackenzie look innocent. It just made her look like an entitled little brat who has, gotten away with murder, literally murder this time. So another thing that I want to bring up, the last thing I want to talk about is the fact that Mackenzie's behavior hasn't stopped. She is in prison still causing problems. She's on a sugar baby website trying to get more men to kind of donate money to her. She is also, if I remember, let me make sure I remember to say this correctly. She's also had multiple girlfriends on a sugar baby website trying to get the money, and she's still using in jail. So let's just go through. I'm going to share my screen once again, and we're going to go through the list that she has gotten in trouble about. Okay, so on 8/1/2025, consensual sexual conduct. 7/23/2025, being out of place. 7/19/2025, encouraging or creating a disturbance with violence of rules. 7/15/2025, being out of place. 5/1/2025, possession of contraband, including and including altered. 5/30/2025, sexual harassment, disturbance of a direct order, possession of contraband, including altered. 4/19/2025, violation of visitation, including video visits. 1/16/2025, misuse of authorized medication, possession of contraband, including altered. 12/10/2024, disturbance of a direct order, being out of place. 11/30/2024, being out of place. The next one's being out of place, disturbance of a direct order, destruction, altered of misuse of property, possession of contraband, including altered, in any violation of rules. 10/19/2024, possession of property of other incarcerated person. Possession of contraband, including altered. 9/4/2024, stealing or embezzlement of property, possession of contraband, altered. 5/16/2024, being out of place. So I read this from top to bottom. What it is when she first got in, basically around the time 5/16/2024, up until the most recent issue that has been posted, 8/1/2025. And as you can see, things kind of got a little more escalating. The sexual harassment, which is most likely to a guard. Or it could be to another inmate. And the other thing is consensual sexual conduct, which means she probably got caught doing something inappropriate with one of the girlfriends that she's dating, but the behavior hasn't changed. Mackenzie hasn't learned anything. She has no remorse. She doesn't feel bad. This whole situation is just really sad because young men lost their lives because a young girl couldn't control herself. That is what this is. She most likely got angry about something in the car, couldn't control herself, and rammed the car into the wall. And these young men passed away because of it. So listen, those are my thoughts on this case. Let me know what your thoughts were, what you thought of the documentary, what you thought of the parents. Because yeah, the parents are crazy. And I know some people are like, well, why aren't you talking about Rosie the friend? I am not giving that girl who just wants attention and clout on social media. You want to talk about her, do it on your channel. I'm not talking about Rosie. Whatever. I just want to talk about the parents who have an actual effect on what happened in this case. So drop them in the comments. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you next video.